Well, it's time to oil the fan motor on this Bryant furnace. I oiled it last about 4.5 years ago. When I first bought this house in 1996, about 3 years later, the fan motor started squeaking. So I oiled it and it was fine, and I periodically oil it over the years. So, you know, it's been about 20 years and I'm still on the same motor. So taking care of things, you know, it's going to last. I go on these oiling sprees. I oil the vent fan in the bathroom, even my portable fan, of course the central AC unit, and it, you know, just helps things last longer. So I'm going to take this thing apart and oil it. One thing I don't like about this unit is you can see the fan motor, or the blower, is situated behind this flue, and I have to take this apart to get it out. So yeah, that is a pain. But I turned off power and removed the little fuse. Already confirmed that the lines are dead here. So I'm going to start taking this thing apart and come back in a few minutes. Okay, got the cover and the flue pipe removed. I do have the pilot turned off. I just have to remember, red to red, black and blue, white to white. A couple more screws and this thing should slide right out. Okay, I've liberated the blower unit from the furnace. So now I'm going to have to remove this motor. I cannot get to the inside area to assure that I oil it properly. So I'm going to remove the motor from the fan casing, or shroud, whatever you call it, and continue from there. Okay, so I have the motor removed, the fan wheel here removed. I'll check this capacitor. I'll clean this fan. It's in pretty good shape, really. There's just a little layer of dirt. I can feel that starting to build up. First time I took this apart, it was really caked up with dirt and it was unbalanced. When I cleaned it off, it was nice and perfect again. So, you know, once a little layer of dirt starts building up, it's going to build up a lot faster. So I might as well just clean it off now, since it's all apart. And it'll be good to go for several more years. Okay, I've disassembled the motor by removing the 4 bolts that go through the motor casing. Now you don't really have to do that. These have oil ports that you can remove the cap on the front and back bearing and add oil that way. But what I'm going to do is I want to vacuum this out. There's a lot of dust in there, and just clean it up a little bit. But there's little pads in there that you can also oil. I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. I notice there's some still good oil on the rear bearing, but the front bearing that holds the, you know, the weight of the blower reel, you know, that's kind of getting a little dark and gummy. So good time to clean it up and put new oil in it. So what I do is I just take some oil and apply it to that little pad in there. I applied a few drops and it soaks it right in. So yeah, it needed some oil. But I noticed another problem here. I found this little, I think it's just a little seal, was broken on the front of the bearing. I believe that helps keep dirt out of the bearing material here. So yeah, I'm just going to keep running this motor until it quits. So it's probably getting time to replace this motor. I saw a date code of, I believe it's 93. Well, that's the capacitor. I'm not sure of the date of this motor. It doesn't appear to be original. I've been in the house since '96, so the motor obviously is much older than that, and it started squeaking a few years after that, in like '99. So yeah, the motor is pretty old. Okay, so I reassembled the motor, unfortunately minus the little bearing seal here. And I just noticed that I forgot to put this ground on that goes right here, so I'll have to take this bolt out, put it back on. But I did vacuum the motor and got the dust out. And since it's open, might as well check the capacitor. It's supposed to be 5 microfarads, and we're getting about 4.8, so near enough, that'll work. So I'll continue to assemble this. A little earlier I took the blower wheel out and sprayed out the little louvers here to get the layer of dirt off. And I should also mention, when you assemble the motor, make sure that the oil fill caps here are both facing up, because this part could be fit on 4 different directions. And I have the ground wire reattached, so I'll go ahead and assemble this thing now. Okay, I have the fan back in the housing, I have the ground attached, the capacitors connected. Before I tighten this bolt down on the fan, I want to center this in the housing so it doesn't rub up against the housing of the fan assembly here. So about right there will do it. So I'll tighten that down and we should be good to go. Okay, so I have the motor back in, put the flue pipe and the cover back on. No extra screws, that's a good sign. While I was at it, I changed the filters. I might as well when I'm up there. I set the thermostat for fan on. Works good. I'll just put the covers on, write the date on it, and that'll be it for this job. Thanks for watching.